everyone. Welcome back to the M&R Show. I'm Ron.
And I'm Malcolm.
And today we're doing a free agency special. We're going to be talking about 4 teams that are very, very trendy right now. The first team will be the Los Angeles Lakers. Malcolm.
Hey, Rob Pelinka look like he's been going to work lately. Look like his job is on the line, which is crazy because he's been doing good. But I mean, let's Westbrook in a trade, Ellington, Bazemore, Reza, Howard, it's just so on. Keep on going on and on. They try to solidify their group. They understand that the West is getting a lot bigger. They try to solidify them with a nice couple of signings. The only questions I have for the Lakers is, number one, let's just look at the age. Let's look at the age before we start. We have Carmelo Anthony, who's 37, LeBron James, who's 36, Marc Gasol, who's 36, Trevor Ariza, who's 36, Dwight Howard, who's 35, Wayne Ellington, who's 33, and Kent Bazemore is 32. To be honest, they got a bunch of senior citizens on the Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers. And I think that's just going to be a big problem that's going to be going on later on in the season based on nutrition and stuff like that. Another thing that I have a question for about the Lakers is their defense. Even though they have brought in the shooting that they need and other scoring, which is great, I think that they're going to rely more on LeBron and AD to be their best defenders on the team. And to be honest, do you really want that from LeBron to be one of your best defenders on your team right now? Especially how old he is right now, especially, he's trying to get his body ready for the playoffs. What about AD? AD just got off injury right now. You know how AD is. And these are questions that I feel like the Lakers felt like it's going to be fine, but at the end of the day, these are some problems that you have to worry about with an older team. But that's really my biggest concern with the Lakers. But I felt like they did enough what they have to do to stay up on top of the West for right now. It's still going to be competitive. I still don't call them the clear favorite, but I think that they're better from last year than they are. I think they're better from this year than they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like this Lakers team better than last year's team, kind of by a landslide, to be honest. I mean, they were better defensively last year, but this team would probably, if not sweep the last year's Lakers team. Just from I think they've upgraded at basically every position. Even though some players, like I said, older, but to be honest, like we talk about the other teams, like a lot of teams are really old this year. I don't know what's that going on from the Heat to the Nets. The Bucks are pretty young, so hopefully they give the Bucks, something to look forward to. But a lot of teams are really old. Even though Ariza's like 35, you said Melo's old. I think the Lakers' biggest thing was they need to add shooting. They did that with Ellington, 42% from 3, 6 attempts. Carmelo somehow turned into a great shooter at 41% on 5 attempts. They signed Kendrick Nunn. He shot 39%. You signed Malik Monk. He's 40%. Bazemore was 40%. Kendrick Nunn was 38%. Ariza's even 35%. So then they added shooting. That was the biggest question. A LeBron team that can shoot is always the best LeBron team. So the question, like you said, is age and defense. We gotta just hope, I guess, the Arizas of the world and the Bazemores of the world and AD and Dwight Howard can really anchor the defense. If those players can't do that, then of course they'll be bad defensively. But to be honest, I don't really see too many good defensive teams besides the Miami Heat. And I don't think they have enough offensive power to get past another team in the East.
All I can say is, to be honest, to end this one with the Lakers, you got Phoenix is known for having one of the best medical staffs ever. So they can go ahead and fly to Phoenix, just to get recuperated and then come back to LA. I think they should be fine. But other than that, we're going to have some problems if age become a big factor, because Father Time is undefeated unless you're LeBron James or Tom Brady.
Literally. Literally. Besides those two, it doesn't miss. These two, I just don't want to go against. But the Lakers, like you said, it's a lot going on. There's a lot of people joking about the team and the age. So we'll see. One thing I can say, this is a very deep team, though. So I think even if some people get hurt, I mean, like we were talking before the show, everybody's not going to be able to play with this team. They're too deep. They're just too deep. Mm-hmm. Now moving on to the Miami Heat, a team that we've mentioned previously. They've been doing a lot of good stuff over the last couple of days with a lot of good signings. Even I recently saw they signed Markieff Morris, who has championship level experience, which some people look forward to. You have Kyle Lowry, another championship level experience. Of course, he has a ring, and he's just evaded the playoffs like over 8 times in his career. They signed Duncan Robinson. Some people call it overpay, but some people say he's the second greatest 3-point shooter by percentage in NBA history. So literally, it's just how it's two ways to tell a story. I think Miami really has done a great job. I don't know if they're my favorite out of the East, but I think they're one of those annoying teams that no one wants to play because they're going to play hard every night. They're going to pass the ball. They're going to play defense. They're going to shoot threes. They're going to be coached well. So you just don't want to play that team because it's going to take everything out of you to beat them. If one of your players goes down, this isn't a team that you're going to be able to beat undermatched.
Most definitely. I think this is a team that will be very, very tough to play. I think that what Pat Riley has done is brought in players that he likes. Kyle Lowry is a guy that he likes. This is a guy who is very tough-nosed, a player who plays offense, who plays defense, very tough-nosed. And especially a guy like in PJ Tucker. These are some guys that are some rough riders. And Pat Riley loved him some rough riders. And you still got Jimmy Butler on that squad. You still have, Bam Adebayo on there too. One thing I have to question about this is the contracts. At the end of the day, Kyle Lowry plays a physical type of style, which, is great and it fits their system, but he's old. He had injury problems last year. So how is that going to translate this year? Especially he's a $30 million player that Miami highly invested in for them to be in a championship. Jimmy got his extension too. All I'm going to say is, because, I don't want to keep on going because we understand where this is going with the Miami Heat and their contract, especially with the 5-year, $90 million deal with Jimmy signing to almost he's 38 years old. I just have a question. I have a question because Ron, I have a question for you. With adding Kyle Lowry, even though this is the squad that lost 4-0 to Milwaukee Bucks last year.
It is.
Adding Kyle Lowry, is that taking them to a different level?
I don't think just Kyle Lowry, but I don't know, like Kyle Lowry specifically, no. I think they've added a lot of good pieces though that I like. Like they were supposed to add DeRozan, they didn't do that. We'll talk about that later in the show. But they've added other good pieces too. I like their starting five. I really do. PJ Tucker, I think, was kind of sneaky. Not the best offensive player, but again, just that defensive player. Like, bro, you can't have Jimmy, one of the greatest on-ball defenders of our generation. Bam, one of my personal favorite defensive weapons. He's only 6'9", so he can switch. And PJ Tucker, it's like, bro. And then Kyle Lowry is annoying because he's always taking charges. So it's like, bro, defensively, they're going to be great. And they can shoot a little better now. And when you have Duncan Robinson, who they did overpay, but bro, when you have Jimmy Butler and Bam on the floor, you got to get some shooters. And this guy, again, is the second most efficient three-point shooter of all time by the percentages. So I like it.
I most definitely feel you. I most definitely feel you about this. But looking at this and looking at this team, especially what this team is a tough, defensive-minded team. This team is tough. This team will make sure if you play them, you're going to feel it the next day. That's how Pat Riley likes his teams, and I understand that. But with all the money, with all the investment that Miami did, especially, locked on to the future, I do not think even in Kyle Lowry's, contract lifetime, and so as Jimmy, that this team will reach the NBA Finals, especially with the East getting better, especially with young guys, and especially we have a lot of problems with injury concerns with this Miami Heat team. But do I think that this Miami Heat team can potentially sneak their way into, maybe the NBA Finals? Maybe. That's their ceiling. But I don't think this team has the oomph to be able to get over that hump and win the finals. If you look at this roster, you see no top 5 player. And the last time I seen the NBA Finals, there was not a top 5 player who hasn't won the NBA Finals. Every finals winner before at least had a top 5 player on their team. And I do not see it on Miami Heat at all. I see a very tough-nosed defense. Do I see a Detroit Pistons defense back in the day? No, but I see that they could have potential, but if Kyle Lowry was younger, that would have been a lot more different, but it's not. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of questions that I have for Miami, but if contracts,
like
I'm looking at contracts. I could put Miami at third based on what I'm seeing with Philly right now.
Philly
has a lot of problems.
Philly, for sure.
Yeah. Based on what what Philly got going on, yeah, I think Miami is a top 3 spot, but I don't put them over Milwaukee. I don't put them. I doggone don't put them over Brooklyn. They're not over Brooklyn, to be honest.
Yeah, not over Brooklyn. We just like to see, because again, like I had a lot of hot takes last year, but injuries clearly just are so key. Like, bro, if somebody goes down, like all this is out the water. So that's why I'm thinking, like, sometimes you gotta just be good enough at the right time. Like Milwaukee last year, I don't think they're my favorites if everyone's healthy. But clearly, when we trust Kyrie or Harden or Giannis, somebody goes down, it's, everything changes. But now moving over to the New York Knicks. I mean, a lot of people have been like what the Knicks have been doing. They have been spending a lot of money with Evan Fournier. They've re-signed their players. They gave Derrick Rose $40 million. Really, really like Derrick Rose and what he did last year. And I'm very proud of Derrick Rose and the resurgence he's had, because we all know the story. But they've been giving out a lot of money in free agency. But at the same time, I think they're building a type of culture, bro, where they don't care if they win a championship. They just don't want to be losers anymore. They want to be competitive. They're going to be a competitive team. They have a lot of good three-point shooters. They still kept a lot of their players like Alec Burks. They kept Nerlens Noel, who's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. They're going to be very competitive. They will make the playoffs, and they probably will be a top 6 seed. I think they'll skip the play-in. So that's my take on the New York Knicks, what they've done.
I got you on that. If the way you set it up, how they're just trying to be, stay competitive, then I understand why they did the moves that they made. Because if they did that, then that's understandable. But I just think that, Evan Fournier, 4-year, $80 million deal. I mean, I like that. I mean, I understand that they need scoring, but I just think that's a little bit of overpay, because Boston wasn't really trying to match that at all. I just think, are we going to really think we're going to have another improvement with Julius Randle? Is he's going to take that next step? Are we having, if this is a new Julius Randle, or is this like a one-year wonder type player where they're good for 1 year and then we don't see that level of production again? There's a lot of, but I like New York Knicks. If they're not really hunting to be that championship type of team, then this is a very good, decent squad. But do I think that there's teams better than them right now, currently? Yes, I think there's teams better than them right now, and I think that they're going to be in the play-in tournament next year based on the not as much improvement that they made that I thought they would have made this offseason.
Yeah, I think they're a really good regular season team. Do I think they can get to the second round? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure if they can get to the second round. But you never know. They play good. They've been coached well. They do have like 8 to 9 good players now on the team. So I think they have a chance. They added some more scoring too, so they have a chance. But now moving on to our last team, the Chicago Bulls. First, we want to, shout out Aubrey Kelly. This is his team. He wanted to talk about his team. So, we're giving you your segment right here. So, besides that, the Bulls have been doing a really good job. I mean, DeRozan, very surprising. Lonzo Ball, not surprising, but I think good sign for what they needed, because Kobe White clearly wasn't working out as a point guard in the NBA, because he's really a 2 guard, because he's a scoring point guard. So that's, up for interpretation with the combo guards nowadays. But they got Lonzo, they got DeRozan. They did lose Thaddeus Young, but I think this is going to be a good team. I think this team is definitely going to make the playoffs next year. What can they do in the playoffs? I have to see how they look in the regular season, because a lot of new pieces, but I do really like the team. They also, they do still have Vucevic.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I've been saying last year, I really like the way Chicago Bulls have been going. They found a new head coach last year. Definitely a respect to him. And then the next season, which is this season, they add guys as in Lonzo Ball. DeRozan is going to be interesting to me based on fit, because at the end of the day, they are all DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Zach LaVine. There are guys that need the ball to be a lot effective, and so it's going to be hard to see if they all are in the lineup together. I think that DeRozan will be more of a 6 man if he can accept that role.
Sure,
I really think they need to still find a stretch 4 to complete that lineup, especially if you put DeRozan on the bench. But I think this team right now, their team is really going to be very competitive. I think this team is better than New York right now. I think this team has really improved offensively. Now, defensively, it might be a problem, but they can really outscore a lot of teams in this league, and I think that won't be as much of a problem. But this is a very good team, the Chicago Bulls, and I give props to the management. The deal for DeRozan, it might be a little high, but if the way everybody's deals has been going, it looks like that's just a regular deal right now. So this could be a very good team. I like where it's going, and I think Chicago can at least be formidable in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, like the Knicks, I think this team's goal is to be competitive. They've been absolutely garbage for years. So just going all in for it, they definitely overplayed. The DeRozan contract, I think, is one of the worst I've seen in a very long time. DeRozan is a okay player, barely all-star, slightly tier below all-star. We saw him in the play-in look almost unplayable. He was one of the worst Spurs on the court, but he still is one of the best mid-range scorers in the NBA. And he's a great and very underrated playmaker, which I think what the Bulls are doing, everyone is different. Everyone has a different role. Lonzo clearly is your fast break guy, your playmaker. Your Zach LaVine is a scoring machine. Patrick Williams is your 3-and-D guy. You have Vucevic as your Jokic high post scorer, can shoot the three, can pass, can score in the paint. And you have DeRozan as your mid-range assassin that can also play make off the bench. And Kobe White is clearly a scoring guard. So everyone fits a role on the Chicago Bulls, which I really like that.
Yeah, and it reminds me of what Atlanta did last year and the way they did things. You never know. If everything clicks, this can be a very good offensive team that is very hard to stop. And they have a lot of very skilled players, which, it is beneficial, to be honest, especially in the playoffs. We've seen how beneficial that was for Atlanta to have all those skilled players where you never know who is going to go off any night. You have your star players going to go off every night, but you never know which that second star was going to go off every night. And I think that when you look at Chicago, Vucevic can go off any night. Zach LaVine can go off any night. You have DeRozan who could go off any night. And one thing I was talking to, G on Twitter about how he said they need playmakers. And I was like, that's interesting. I mean, I understand what you mean, but if you look at Zach LaVine, if you look at Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, he's he's not a primary playmaker, but he's a secondary playmaker. You have Lonzo Ball, who's more of a push the ball up the court type playmaker. And then you have a guy as in Vucevic, who is really good as a playmaker for a big. He might not be Jokic. Nobody's really Jokic as a big as far as playmaking abilities, but for Vucevic, he's a very solid playmaker. And I feel like you have all those solid playmakers coming together, especially you have DeRozan, who improved as a playmaker in San Antonio. So you have all these different type of guys who have skill, scoring abilities, and playmaking abilities. It makes Chicago very dynamic type of offense, which is going to be very hard to stop if everything clicks together by the time the playoffs.
Yeah, but before we end this segment, my last thing, really, I mean, we talked about 4 teams. I think they're all at least going for it. There's no shame in going in and trying to be competitive for your fan base, for trying to win, for just doing that. I mean, we see my team, the Washington Wizards, who have done the exact opposite of that. So it's literally no shame of just going all in. If you lose, you lose, but I can't be mad as a fan that you tried. So that's my last thing.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely feel you. You have to go all in. Sometimes, as we know, you never know, injuries happen and you have a chance. Atlanta, they was able to go through a chance because based off injuries. Suns, they went to the finals, based off injuries. They put the chips together and they just got lucky. Just like with Toronto, they got, they put all the chips together and they got the opportunity to feel lucky. So you never know what's going to happen. So these teams did a good job for going all in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And sometimes you be in purgatory. So, but hey, at the end of the day, hey, congratulations to all y'all teams, whoever has the teams that we picked up, that we talked about. For
sure. Well, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment on the YouTube video, and watch our other 2 videos that will be right there at the end. And Malcolm, you can drop our Instagram and our Twitter.
Hey, so follow us on Instagram, on Twitter at Malc and Ron Show. And guys, we appreciate the support. If y'all have any questions, just make sure, hit us up. We're going to have polls and all the other stuff. Ron has his crazy takes. So just tune in.
All right.
All right. I see y'all.